This episode of London Real is sponsored by X-Brain. If you live in Europe or the UK, get all of your favorite Onnit products like Alpha Brain, Shroom Tech Sport, even the Bulletproof Coffee from X-Brain. You get it in a matter of days, no foreign exchange, no customs, no problem. Go to xbrain.co.uk and check it out.
Well, you know, Drake said it best, started from the bottom. Yeah, now
we're here.
You know, we're in London.
London Real, one of the coolest up-and-coming podcasts.
When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, think about that. The hip-hop preacher himself, Mr. Eric Thomas, was in studio last week to explain that concept, which I think he came up with on the top of his head when he was speaking to a group of elementary school kids, I think 5-7 years ago. And it turns out that this was B-roll footage that he thought would never be used, that a documentary filmmaker made of him while he was speaking to this class at one of these free lectures before anyone knew his name. And then it was discovered, and it became one of the most popular videos on YouTube. When you see him tell these kids, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you will be successful. And Eric spent the next 90 minutes with us, and it was one of the most special podcasts I've been a part of. I was so fortunate to have Mr. Sully Breaks, the spoken word artist here from London, to be my co-host for this event. When I called him up and told him about Eric Thomas, I thought I might have to explain who he was. Sully was like, "What?" I'm so excited just to be there. So I had the three of them, and you can hear me say at the end of the episode, I'm like, I think this is an epic event. We'll look back in 5-10 years from now and try to figure out where we all are. And, we can say we were here. I think I even proposed that we do this thing again in 2018, that we all get together and talk. Eric Thomas is the real deal. He is what you would expect him to be. He's the hip-hop preacher for a reason. He's got a Southern kind of Baptist minister about him. He's super positive, super energetic. He was here for a week or so in the UK, did 3 live shows, was doing media left and right, but man, the guy is always on, and he's opinionated. He says things you don't want to hear as well, and that's what I like about him a lot. If you haven't heard of him, then you're going to be blown away by this episode, because he is definitely one of the most fascinating guys and one of the best motivational speakers. I mean, major sports teams call him in to motivate top athletes, and I asked him about that. I was like, what would you tell Michael Jordan to make him score more points? And funny enough, he had an answer for that. So I hope you enjoy the Hip Hop Preacher. It was very fortunate and so excited to have him there. If you haven't noticed, I have been on the bulletproof diet, which means bulletproof coffee for the last 8 days. Yes, it's true. I get up in the morning, I brew my coffee, I put my grass-fed butter in there, I put my MCT oil, which is a lot like coconut oil, but a bit better, and I blend that up with a hand blender, and it's like a meal, really. And the whole idea is it promotes intermittent fasting, and I don't even eat until 2 p.m., and that's even if I've trained hard the previous day. So it's an interesting diet. I'm liking it so far. I'm trying to include some of the paleo portions of the diet in the non-coffee part as well, but if you want to give it a try, I highly encourage it. It's a wonderful summer day here in London. If you want to get the coffee and you're in the UK or Europe, easy. Just go see the guys at X-Brain. They're sponsoring this podcast. It's xbrain.co.uk. You can pick up the Bulletproof Coffee. You can pick up the MCT oil. Hell, you can get the Shroom Tech Sport, which I, of course, always carry with me. You can get the Alpha Brain. You can get it all, and it's here within days. No customs, no problem. So check those guys out. They got all the Onnit products, and you get it within days. No customs, no currency, none of that stuff. That's it, folks. We got lots of fun stuff coming up. The big ones are Irving Welsh, the guy who wrote Train Spotting, and Jason Silva, the guy you would have seen on the Rogan Show. He does these inspirational videos where he talks about the future and the singularity and all this crazy stuff. He is such an entertaining, such a positive young man. I spoke to him. He's going to be by the studios in the next couple weeks. Very pumped about that. So it's all kicking off. As you might have seen, we're dropping these daily doses It's kind of like our new blog at London Real, and it's little clips of old episodes that we think you might find interesting. I realize sometimes people don't have 90 minutes to watch a whole episode, so we're just trying to take the nice bits out and send them back out to you. So if you like those, please retweet them. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. If you want to get involved and be an intern, we'd love to have you. Send me an email at info@londonreal.tv and send me guest suggestions, show suggestions, you name it. I've already picked up another guest today that came off of a tweet, and it's all happening in real time. So I appreciate it. Lots of love to everyone out there listening. So grateful and just so fortunate to be in this position where I get to talk to all these cool people. Thanks to you. Because if you weren't watching, they wouldn't bother dropping by the studio. Trust me. So now, please sit back and relax. I give you the hip-hop preacher Eric Thomas and Mr. Suli Breaks. Let's do this, guys. Cool?
Ready?
All right, here we go. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. With me today is Mr. Suli Breaks, who is a spoken word artist. You would have seen him on this show a couple months ago. His episode is called Change Through Verse. He's racked up about 4 million views on YouTube with his videos, Why I Hate School But Love Education, and The American Dream. You got a new video out. What's that called?
I will not let an exam result decide my fate.
Okay, that's cool too. Yeah, that's very good.
Dog.
Yeah, no, so is a real deal. Definitely check his stuff out. You've been featured in the Huffington Post. You've spoken at over 100 universities, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. All right. And with us today is the hip-hop preacher himself, Mr. Eric Thomas. You might have first seen him in his video, When You Want to Succeed As Bad As You Want to Breathe. If you haven't seen that video, you must be from another planet.
How about that?
I was asking,
Everyone's seen that video.
I was talking to
Everyone's seen that
grandmas, I was talking to French people from Africa, Spain. I was like, you heard of this? Oh, yeah, I heard that guy.
Wow.
So I don't know, that thing went viral in a weird way.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have anything to do with it, so I don't know how it went viral.
Really? Because I asked people from all walks of life, not just any type of person. They were like, yeah, I know him. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize. So you had a big impact with that.
The voice in it just peeks through when you see the video. The voice just comes to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's something powerful about it. But Eric is a motivational speaker, an educator, author, activist, and minister as well. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I've been watching your videos on YouTube, man. I get excited just watching you. You got this series called t.g.i.m.
Absolutely.
Which is Thank God It's
Monday. Yeah, just trying to get folks to, see just a different perspective. See, going to work is, you asked for it. I mean, you signed up for it. So you might as well put 120% in it. And I guarantee you, if you look at it differently, you'll get a different result from it.
I was thinking only you would come up with the title, Thank God It's
Absolutely.
Monday.
Absolutely.
That's like some Eric Thomas brand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I was watching that and watching your Coming to London video. But anyways, welcome to London.
Man, good to be here, guys.
I really appreciate it.
Man, phenomenal experience. It's one thing to be here, but my family's here, my wife, my son, my daughter. My kids will never be able to say I didn't do anything for them. I brought you to London at 17 and 15. My mother's here, my mother-in-law.
I think I just met your mother outside.
Yep, outside. Wow. Yep. So I don't know if London's ready for her, but she's here. And about 17 of us came from the team. So phenomenal experience, man. I just wanted everybody to feel it, to see it. And I knew London would change them. So it's just phenomenal being here. I was on the London Eye, and I had a little VIP with a group of people there. And it's just like, if the fact that people would even want to come and see me and spend time with me is unbelievable. Yeah.
I was thinking about, I have different co-hosts on the show, and I was trying to think, who can handle Eric Thomas,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was telling Suli earlier, and Suli's the only Englishman in the room, I'm from the States, but
I'm repping, I'm proud, I'm repping.
Right.
But I was just thinking, I have a little experience with people who speak as passionately as you, because I'm from America. But over here, I don't think in Europe and in England, I don't think they've ever met anyone like you.
Oh, wait till they get a load of it. They just need to get a little bit in it, and everybody's gonna be doing it once I leave.
How you finding the reception over here?
It's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. I don't know if it's because of the videos. Because we have a close-knit history together. I'm not sure what it is, but I mean, man, it has been overwhelming. And just to see, I'm over the pond, and to see that, a guy told me all the way from Detroit, you're making a difference in my life, so it has been phenomenal. I mean, they've just treated us first class from the time we landed to now. And so one of my staff members, he's like, I'm moving to London. Like, you got to get them pounds up.
Yeah, it's not cheap over here.
Absolutely. The American currency can't hang. So yeah. But so far, man, it's been phenomenal.
Okay, and you're giving a talk this weekend as well at the Mermaid, right?
Absolutely. I've been doing a little, a few smaller events, little intimate stuff, really trying to speak to a group and make sure that we impact the group. But the big show, of course, is on Saturday. We've got a couple shows, and I think Sunday we're doing some stuff as well. So it's been a packed schedule, man.
Okay. For people that don't know a whole lot about you, I was just wondering if you could just give us a quick kind of where you started to where you are right now. I know you were a high school dropout.
Absolutely.
And you had some days homeless in Detroit.
Yeah.
And then I was watching a video of Eric, and he said he had a vision when you were 17, I think, and he said something else. And he said, for success, only one person has to believe.
That's it.
That's one of the many things.
Oh, no doubt.
And I was wondering if you could explain, what happened when you were 17 and what's the journey?
Yeah, my story is no different than a lot of people. Drake said it best, started from the bottom. Now we're hit. We're in London, So unfortunately, my mom was a teen mom, wasn't married, had me at 18 years old. And, it was just me and moms for a while, moved to Detroit. She married, her husband adopted me. I wasn't really, feeling my man like that, wasn't feeling the relationship. And so, just a downward spiral, didn't take school serious, didn't take life serious. And I end up at 16, so rebellious, so angry with my mom that I eventually got kicked out the house. I'm living in abandoned buildings, eating out of trash cans, hanging with the wrong group, just going the wrong way, man. And, one day I was like, man, I want better. I can't, I'm looking at guys on the block, you either end up in jail or you're dead. Like, you don't retire from the life that we were living. And I was like, it's not for me, man. Like, I got to be able to do something better, and so I made my move. I got in a different environment. I started going to church, started dating this young lady who really, held me accountable. She's like, I'm going to college and I'm not dating a high school dropout, and so I end up getting my GED, going to college. And for real, a lot of people didn't believe in me. Your mom, came from nothing. Your daddy wasn't in your life. You didn't do well in school. So there's a journey for that type of person. And I was like, hey, not for me. I'm going to be somebody. And although people didn't believe, I always said, you sometimes when you're running a company, when you first start a company, you got to be the CEO, the CFO, the COO. You got to be the administrative assistant, the mail clerk. You got to do everything. Mailman. You got to do it all. And so for my personal life, I became that person for me. And I want everybody to hear this. Now there are hundreds of people, maybe even thousands, I don't know, who believe in me. But it all happened because I believed in myself. So once you invest in yourself, people are willing to invest in you. And I get tired sometimes. Kids call me, Mr. Thomas, I had this business or I have this idea. I want you to invest, 3,000 pounds. I'm like, that's your dream. That's your vision. You have to invest in it more than anybody else. And when you do that, then you'll get other people to support you. So that's just what I believe. You got to believe in yourself before anybody else is going to buy into your vision.
Most definitely. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah. I mean, even with what I do, like you said, I've got like almost 4 million views, but prior to that, there's 100 videos on my channel which nobody watched.
Nobody,
you know what I mean? So it's true.
I've been there.
So you got to put in that. So you just believing in yourself ultimately does reap the rewards. So absolutely. I can identify with that totally, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I have 4 million hits, so that's impressive. Yeah.
No, I've been there too. I mean, this is the 92nd episode of London Real. Started this on a whim. Everyone said we're crazy, and first people said it's too long, and now they say it's too short. Wow. It's just. And like you were saying, I was watching another video of you, and it's like when you get the check in the mail, all of a sudden people are like, oh, what you're doing is real. And it's like once we started getting views and subscribers and getting people on, they're like, oh, they're not so crazy.
You know.
Yeah, and again, that's the reality. That your reality is reality. That's reality. So I tell people, I'm not just in London. I'm here with my son. This is a reality. Like, son, I need you to see what your father is doing. And I don't want you to do what I'm doing, but I want you to see all the work I put in, all the videos, all the stuff I do for free. I want you to see it. My wife was with me in Vegas. and we couldn't go. It took us an hour and 15 to get to a restaurant. People wanted me to sign autographs. People, wanted to take pictures. And my wife was like, whoa, I was with you when you were a high school dropout. And my wife didn't really, and I love my wife, and no disrespect, but, my wife is about having a full-time job. So in the beginning, she was like, what is this dream? How are you going to get paid? How are we going to take care of our family? Your kids have asthma. How are they going to get America for insurance, health insurance in order to, go to the hospital? And I just told my wife, like, look, I don't care who believes in me. This is a reality, and so with each video, with each check, with each signature, with each, whatever we do, that becomes reality. So I want my kids to walk in it. I want them to, fly first class and see that whatever it is they want to do, they don't need anybody's support. They just need to know if they can see it in their mind, eventually it will manifest, into the physical realm.
Definitely.
Do you draw power from all the people you bring with you, or is this like a celebration and a thank you? I mean, you're rolling 17 deep. That's an entourage.
Oh yeah, man. That's fam, man. No, I draw inspiration, man, from every person that comments. It's tough. You're looking at a camera, talking to a camera. You're not talking to a human being. It's a camera. You're not in a live audience where you're getting that feed. So in my mind, I'm thinking about each person that I'm talking to. And I'm looking at the camera like you. People say all the time, like, Eric, I felt like you were talking to me. I was talking to you. That's exactly who I was talking to. So in my mind, I envision, this young entrepreneur who's out here trying to make it happen, and you're hitting roadblocks, but you got a gift. Brake's got a gift. That it's creativity, it's innovation, it's something that people have never heard before. And so every now and then you might get discouraged. So I want to be that guy that motivates you because you're motivating thousands. I want to motivate you because you are in a relationship. You do have a wife. You do have children. You are getting up and going to the same job. You do have a vision that nobody's believing in. And so I want to be your cheerleader. Like, I want to pump you up. And so I draw from all the different people, all the stories I've heard, of what I want to accomplish, in people's lives. And so that energy comes from within. But it's every tweet, it's every post, it's every phone call, it's every signature I sign. I'm signing signatures and asking questions and listening. Like, who am I signing this to? Who are you? Or who do you want me to sign this to? Who are they? And so that's the inspiration that I pull that allows me to do what I do and keep doing what I do.
How do you get in your zone and relax? A bunch of people asked us, like, how does he sleep? How do you ever kind of cool down, or do you not need to cool down?
don't sleep, innit?
Man, I'll be real, man. It has to be, me and my wife are family on vacation, and my wife has to, like, look, give me your phone, cut the computer off, and I have to go into that. All right, your family gives so much of you that this is the time for you. You got to pour back into them. But you have to literally force me. I mean, we got in. As soon as we got in, I'm doing interview after interview after interview. They're like, E.T., did you eat? Like, no, this is my food. Like, give me the next interview. All right, an hour. All right, give me the next one, 30 minutes. They're like, how do you do it? And it's because I wasted so much time in my life. I wasn't using my gift. I was being rebellious. I was disobedient. I was getting in trouble with the law. And I was one of those kids that literally I was going to be a statistic. And so now I'm in London. Like, how do you sleep when you have the opportunity? Like, I'm only going to be here 7 days. So I have to get as much done as I can in 7 days. Why? Because if I do what I'm supposed to do in the 7, the next time is 30. But if I don't take advantage of each opportunity, then I may never come back to London. But I want my kids not only to visit London once, I want them to say, hey, Dad, we're out of school. I know you got work in London, so let's go hang out in the summer in London. Like, I don't want you to taste success once and then you go back to being who you are. I want London to be a reality. It wasn't a visit. I want you to come shop in London. You haven't shopped here yet. You haven't taken a class here. You haven't met the people. You haven't been immersed in the culture. You're just visiting London. The next time, I want you to learn from London. So every interview I do, it's got to be hot. Because it's got to be, we want more of ET. And that's just kind of how I think. 86,400 seconds in a day. Each one represents an opportunity. And I have to take advantage of each one. Why? Because each one creates another one. And so these moments are so, and that's why I'm so pumped and so hyped, because you only get so much time in a day. You only live for so long. and I want to make each moment memorable.
You know, you're all about success and trying to get people to be successful.
Yeah.
And do you think in America especially that people our kids are pressured too much to be successful and get that money and do that? Or do you think it's not enough?
Yeah, I think they're pressured too much to get money and not be successful.
Okay.
You know, for me, success is, I've been married 23 years. I was in my children's life. I know my gift. I know my purpose. I'm passionate. Money follows.
Yeah.
Because when you have a service that you can provide for people that is genuine, that's unique, that's special, and that's needed, like it really helps, you don't have a problem with people making an investment in themselves. I mean, that's what I see myself as. Like, people are not buying anything when they get Eric Thomas. What they're doing is investing in themselves. So they want to be motivated. So a football team may bring me in to speak. They're not asking me to come in because I'm not saying that they don't care about Eric Thomas, but they didn't bring me in for Eric Thomas. They brought me in because they felt like you're going to give us that edge, that advantage we need, boom, to win that World Cup, you know, or to win, you know, the Super Bowl or whatever it is. So for me, people are making an investment in themselves. So success is being the best that I could be. And it's not what you say, because you don't know that I have 3 or 4 more gears. You're comparing me to the other motivational speakers. So to me, success is living your life to the fullest. Is Mother Teresa not successful because she wasn't considered to be a billionaire? Like, I think she's one of the most successful human beings. To me, Gandhi was successful. Martin Luther King was successful. He was only a pastor at a church. You know, like, he wasn't this business tycoon. So for me, success is saying you're going to do something and doing it. Saying you're going to be somebody and being that person every single day, every single moment, no matter what the circumstances or the situation is. So I think we need to pressure people to be successful. Be who you are and break. That's what I love. You're talking about education versus going to school. Too many people are forced to go to school but aren't forced to learn. You should want to learn. So what, you don't get a degree? Or so what, you don't get A? The kid who got all A's, does that mean his life is richer because he memorized? You know, because he was able to retain information longer than me, or he had some trick up that I couldn't retain information? No, it doesn't mean that. So for me, we've got to make this shift from making money to being successful, because successful people, in my determination, they will make money. But people who make money aren't necessarily successful people.
You say you hate average people.
I hate average. I hate average. I hate average.
And you said good is worse than average, right?
Yeah, because it's a facade.
Okay.
I mean, when you think you're getting something, like, that's like getting an imitation Louis or imitation Gucci. It looks so much like the real thing. I mean, it looks just like the real thing. It's in the, they got it in the store. It's got all the strappings. Everything looks exactly the same. But it wasn't manufactured by the real company. It's inferior product. And that's what good is. Good has this image. At least with average, you know what you're getting. You know it's not real. But there are people who are literally I don't know about in London, but there are people in America who paid for what they thought was authentic because it looked so real. I mean, it looked like this is the real deal. And now to discover that they got beat, that watch that they got wasn't a real Rolex. You know, that diamond ring that they got wasn't real, but it looked so much. And so good looks so close to great. Some of the characteristics are so, the traits are so close, but it's not. And so that's why I hate good, because it looks like great. It's not. But average, man, average people, you know, they don't serve my food properly. You know, they don't pick me up when they said they were going to pick me up. You know, they say 8, but they meant 9. You know, and I tell people the reason why I'm so aggravated is because, you know, for real, honestly, and this may sound weird to you guys in the studio, but if you burn down my house, as much as it may, you know, be like, oh, you burned down my house, I can buy another one. And they can actually, my grandmother's house was burned down about 5 years ago, and we grew up in that home. Listen to me, guys. They redid the house. It looks exactly like the house we grew up in. It's not the house, but it looks exactly like the house. You could take my money out the bank, guys, and I could get a couple more engagements, and I can put that money back. But once you take time from me, I can never get that back again. I can never get yesterday back. I can't get a second back in 2012. I can't get it back. So I take time so serious, because it's the only commodity that once it's spent, you can never regain it. And so average people don't understand the importance of time. And so that's what aggravates me, is that while you're being average, you're dragging me into your reality when that's not my world. And I don't want to live in that world. So I like to hang with great people because they get it, and people who are good transitioning to great, they're not stuck in great. They get it. They understand my passion. They understand. I was with, is it Edgar Davis yesterday?
Edgar Davis, the football player.
A football player.
Yeah, Davis,
me and Edgar are talking, and it's a wonderful conversation because we both get it. And we're going back and forth and back and forth. He was one of the best. We're going back and forth and back and forth. And he's like, Eric, I don't understand some of these guys that play now. They don't have to drive. They're not hungry. And it's because they don't see that opportunities have to be seized. You have to. And so that's why I have a problem with average and good. They frustrate me because they're facade. They look to be a certain thing, but in reality, it's not what it appears.
They say that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend time
Absolutely.
with. Do you believe that?
I do.
You do.
That's why I try to spend as much time alone as I can. I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's got jokes. And what about the average people? Do you edit them out of your life? Are you ruthless? I mean, if someone's just not coming up to par, are you just like, I can't hang with you anymore?
Yeah, and again, I see it this way, guys. I see it as you have your inner circle. To me, your sanctum, those are the people who you're with every day, all day. Those are the people that have access to your phone. They're calling you, you see that number, you answer that. These are the people that you work with, that you travel with. Those individuals, I cannot allow them to be average. Now, there are average people who I associate with because my attempt is to help you, to reach a level of consciousness that you realize I'm not where I need to be and I need to transform. Yeah. So those are people that, on my terms, I'll spend time with you. I'll recommend a book, or you can call me and I'll give you 5-minute conversation. So it's not like I don't have contact with them, but when I'm choosing a restaurant, like literally, guys, and this may sound weird to some people, but there are times when I fly home and I only have 2 hours to be with my family. I've got to get on another flight, or I've got to drive somewhere. I've got an interview. So those 2 hours are not about dinner. It's about spending time with my family. So if I go to a restaurant and you take hours getting me my food, you don't get it that I'm not coming necessarily to eat. I'm coming to spend time with my family. We don't have time to go home, cook the whole night. And so for me, it's this thing of I go to the restaurants and I ask for the same server. The guys who I know when I come in, they're like, "Oh, Mr. Thomas, we know your wife likes the fettuccine with the chicken, and your daughter wants the spaghetti and the vegetarian lasagna. We remember you. You want ranch. You want," and I'm willing to pay more because they get it. Like, this is an experience for you. This is a memory with your family, and they're not distracting me or taking time away. I went to a restaurant the other day, and a girl comes, she said, "What's your drink order?" I'm like, "I'm good. We all want water, but we know what we want to eat." And she's like, "Okay, well, give me a minute. I forgot my pen." I'm thinking, you forgot your pen? You are a waiter. Come on, you're a waiter. That's what waiters do. They serve. So why don't you have a pad because in her mind, she's like, "I've done this a million times, drink order." We just start with drink order. And I'm like, I'm beyond drink. I didn't come here to drink. I came to eat. We know what we want. Come back. My wife orders. "I'm so sorry. We don't have the corn with that." I'm like, "You don't have the corn with it." When you, as you're buying corn.
American service.
As you're buying corn, you don't know that corn is running out. And so she brought me a replacement coleslaw, which was sour. I'm thinking, come on, God. So, of course, now my wife is not doing what? We're not talking family talk. My wife's attention now is on the fact that she didn't get what she wanted. She's eating something that's not good. And so it's distracted us from coming together. Whereas a superb service is so seamless that you can stay focused on what you're focused on. And you did a wonderful job when we got here. Phones off. Make sure this is all right, mics there, chairs. Why are you doing that? Because you're setting an atmosphere so that once we get started, we're not interrupted. Our flow is not interrupted. And average people don't think like that. They don't think about the flow, that if we're talking and the phone rings, it will interrupt. Yes, we can start all over again, but we might not be able to start over with that ethos, that passion, that same spirit, that we had. So that's why I have a problem, with average people because they live in a different world and nothing is important or there's no sense of urgency to them.
Did you used to be a waiter?
I once was a waiter, and I was
a waiter
one of the best.
as well.
And you waited where?
It was like we have a branch called Marks and Spencer's.
Okay.
But I wasn't one of the best, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
But I was definitely a waiter. But even what you're saying about average people, especially when you come from environments like inner city London, for instance, you find that it's crucial that you hang around with people who can be detrimental to your success. It can be the difference between life and death, you know what I mean? So it's like, it sounds cruel, but you have no other option but to cut those people out of your life, because that's the difference between you maybe at a later date providing for your family or not, you know what I mean? So I can definitely like relate to you on that subject.
Absolutely.
Completely.
You get it.
Yeah.
And you said it best. Bank, you said life or death. And at the end of the day, that's what it is, life or death. Professionally, which spills over into other, areas of your life. I mean, I'm with my whole family. I was able to, to either budget so much and then pay for other tickets because I am so serious. And it's funny, when I got here, people are like, yo, E, you really like that? Like, you got here, like, you really, they're thinking like when it was funny yesterday, they were like, you were as advertised. And I'm like, no, this is me. This is who I am. I'm not playing. When we met outside, I'm looking at, where do we start? Let's go. I'm looking to get into it. So, and we just left an hour documentary. My mom and I, took us about 30, 40 to get here. And hey, you wouldn't have known that I just left doing a documentary because it's over. That opportunity is over. And if I was to say, well, that opportunity was great and I'm still living in that moment, I wouldn't be able to nail this moment and what this opportunity is going to do for me. For real, we'll talk again years from now about how being at this particular form at this particular time with the sun, I might add, with the sun shining outside, how this is going to leverage my career and give me more exposure that I've been blessed to be on this show. Some of the exposure that I'm going to have after this hour, I would have never had before. So I get one shot, one moment, and I've got to capture it.
Yeah, he was ready to go. I met him on the sidewalk, and I don't know. You thought I was a fan or what?
I don't know what I thought. I'm like, hey, who's this guy? Let's go.
Do you ever meet somebody, and can you tell in the first 10 seconds whether you can help them or not?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. The questions. People, Lauryn Hill said, you gotta ask the right questions. And there are people who will call me, and I get so frustrated because it's like, I can't, a young lady called me about 2 weeks ago. And so I said, hello. She called my personal number. I give my personal number out. And so she said, I can't believe it. I said, you can't believe what? She said, I can't believe this is E.T. I said, I gave you my number. Why can't you believe it's E.T.? She said, well, I'm thinking, based on your status, I'm going to get your clerk or I'm going to get a voicemail. And I'm like, no, you're talking to E.T. How can I help you? And I know she thought I was probably rude, but I realized I can't help her because she's starstruck. So you're not calling me because you want to elevate your game. You want to go to the next level. No disrespect to those of you who are listening, but I don't do groupies. I don't have an ego. I don't have a self-esteem problem. I'm no better than any other human. We all have to wake up in the morning, get dressed, go out and do what we do. So I said to her, do me a huge favor. Either call me back when you have a question, or please don't call me back again because you're wasting my time. So people who come to me and say, yo, E.T., like for real, what of all your research, all your studying, all your traveling, give me the 5 secrets that you've gained from all of this traveling that's helped you take your game to the next level. Bah, this guy's serious. Okay. I can help this guy right here. Like he is reflective. He's thought about it before he called me. I'm not saying that there's some people, who call maybe the first 10 seconds, like, I can't, I'm shocked that you literally answered your phone. Yeah. Because for real, so many, and this is an American term, but we say, people are hot dog, they're hot dogging you. They think they're big time. And so I'm sure that when people call me, they are kind of, the first 10 seconds, this guy's really answering the phone. But I know I can help you when you're on the streets. There's this look in your eye. Hunger has a look. Drive has a look. Even if I was here, you wouldn't even know I wasn't from London because the way I walk like I've been here before. I don't walk lost. I don't walk like I don't have any place to go. I came to London with a specific purpose, an assignment that I'm here to get something done. So yes, there's a look, there's this alertness, this detail, this attention that people have in their body language that lets me know, yeah, I can help her. Well, I can help this guy. But there are other people I look at and it's like, yep, you are just like, you saw a ghost, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I've met celebrities, but when I meet celebrities, there are people like, man, I wish and I know this is not going to happen, but I wish I could meet Adele, you know, because that drive that she has, I feed off of that drive. You know, 21 was all about, we're going to take this opportunity called pain, failure, disappointment, and we're going to turn it into a Grammy. You know, we're going to go in that studio and I'm just going to let it all out. You know, so she took, for real, there are people who go through what Adele went through and they commit suicide. Or they start drinking and become addicted to something to get away from that pain. And so she took her pain and used her pain to make her great. You know, so yes, there are people who I can just look at and tell, I can help this guy.
You wrote a blog in it talking about how you're the worst celebrity ever.
Absolutely.
I was reading that. It's quite funny, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, some of the CEOs in America, you know, some guys who are, you know, millionaires, they'll come to me and like, Eric, you gotta do better. Like this whole, you know, you go into a room before the show starts, like you gotta wait for the build up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta let them say your name and do this big intro and then you come out. You know, like you're taking away that glamour thing, you know, or, you know, you can't sign every book. Some books you don't sign, some books you sign to give it this, it's not common feel. You know, you can't do a video every Monday, or maybe do 3 minutes and then you send them to this blog where they can get a prescription or membership and they can sign. It's like you're becoming too common. You know, you're just walking up the street. They're seeing you at the malls. They're taking pictures with you. You know, you're not sitting in first class. I'm like, first class costs too much. And it was only an hour flight. Like you're sitting in the back with people and you're having a conversation. It was funny on my way here from Detroit. It was a guy from London who had gone to the States to Chicago for some marketing thing. He was like, E.T., I've got a ticket to your show. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, absolutely. He's like, well, when we get on the plane, can we talk? I'm like, no doubt. So I'm in the back, we're talking, and the steward is like, I can't have you guys, you know, sitting here talking. Like, you guys got to sit down. And so, I mean, we're just kicking it. He's like, I can't believe I'm with you. You saved my marriage. You saved my career. Like, I can't believe I'm literally talking to you. And I'm like, why can't you? We're on the same plane. You know what I'm saying? We paid for the same plane. And when we get off, he's following me through the airport and we're talking. I give him my number. He's calling. He's like, let's do English breakfast together. I'm like, I love it. You know, so I am one of the worst celebrities because I just don't buy into the hype. I truly believe, for real, we're all humans. We all have a gift. And some of us have been courageous enough to follow it. And some of us haven't been courageous enough to follow our dreams.
Talk to me about haters. I mean, Sully's putting out videos on a regular basis saying things like, well, the American dream, or, you know, I hate school but love education. You know, you get a lot of counterpoints, people that are coming at you saying, you know, wait, university has a purpose. I think you might be heading to the BBC later to talk to people about that. I get hate all the time from London Real. And you said something like, don't totally dismiss your haters.
No. And this is what I love about my haters. You know, and I just believe you can get something out of everything. You know, I think everything teaches. If you're with a 3-month-old, if you pay attention, they're teaching you something. I mean, it's something you can get out of watching this 3-month-old that's not concerned about time. You know what I'm saying? He's not on the etiquette thing. I mean, he's just living free. You know, and so for me, the one thing I love about my haters is they give me a perspective that my mother doesn't give me. My mom loves me so much that I think, you know, there are times where, you know, she may want to correct me and she's like, I don't want to hurt his self-esteem. You know, or my wife, you know, may not say a certain thing because she's like, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not in the field. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But I find that my haters say what's on their mind, you know, and sometimes what they say is real. You know, that there's some adjustments that I need to make. You know, now I don't take their hate and allow it to tear me down, but there are things that they say, you know, about me. I'll never forget this one guy who was hating on me was talking about how I had 4 or 5 jobs. You know, he's like, he's doing this and he's doing that, and he's doing that. And I thought about it one day and was like, okay, what is he saying? Now, take away that he's not making his dreams become a reality, and he's jealous about the fact that I'm fearless, that I'm going out here and I'm trying it. Yeah. But there was some validation in what he was saying, in that if you're doing too much and you don't have a solid focus, you may not be getting the most out of your life. And I was like, you know what, he's telling the truth. And so I started to narrow my focus. And I quit my job at Michigan State and started doing free, thank God, it's money, and I'm traveling across. Mm-hmm. So the dude was right. You know what I'm saying? There were a couple things that I was doing that was really taking me away from going from good to great. The job was, my wife loved the stability. She loved the 401k, the health plan. I was getting a steady check. My wife loved that. But when I left that job did not allow me to come to London because I can only take off for so many weeks. I only had so much time off. So honestly, nobody else was courageous enough to say, this guy's got 4 or 5 jobs, but this guy, he's doing too much. And I sat down one day and said, you know what, he might be right. And then what I love about my haters as well is that I know they don't want me to succeed. So there are times, honestly, when I'm thinking about sleeping in, I'm like, my haters would love this. Or making an error. I'm on the road and I'm, thinking about maybe doing something I don't have no business doing. And I'm thinking, how would my hater like to see this in the newspaper? They take this and laminate this and put this on the wall. Oh, they put this on the wall. They probably start their own blog and start their own radio show and just talk about, I told you so. I told you he wasn't the father you thought he was, or the husband you thought he was, or I told you he didn't have the integrity that you think that he has. And so those are the 2 ways that I use my haters, to push me, to a place where my loved ones, and trust me, my loved ones have supported me, in ways I can't even imagine. But my haters have given me that extra, that edge, that advantage that I know that they're always in the backdrop waiting for me to make a mistake. They're waiting for me to fall. They're waiting for me, to come out with a video that doesn't represent, the videos I've done before. They're waiting. And so I'm going to keep them waiting. I'm going to keep them waiting. So when you talk about hate, talk to me. I haven't had the chance to hear some of the stuff that you mentioned about, the way you frame it. Talk to me about that.
Oh, in terms of but I kind of view it the same way you do in terms of people write a lot of negative stuff because what I'm saying, it doesn't exactly go for the status quo, you know what I mean? If I'm telling people, learn to educate yourself, you can educate yourself and there's more you can gain out of school than what they put on a piece of paper, that grade they put on the paper. There's a lot of people who have ended up in positions in their life that they may not be happy with, and because of that they feel they have to address it in an ignorant way. But like you say, I always see that everyone's entitled to an opinion. And like I say to my friend, I put a video up and my friend will be like to me, oh, it's got lots of likes. And I say, no, I need dislikes because my most successful videos are the ones with the most dislikes on them. So that you need that to kind of view, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And like at the end of the day, I don't mind. You can be entitled to opinion as long as it's not ignorance that it's like affecting other people. You can insult me all I want, but if I've got like my girlfriend in the video and you're saying, oh, ugly girl, that's ignorance. That's nothing to do with the content. You know what I mean?
Right.
But aside from that, you need, like you said, you need those haters to go forward. Definitely.
Absolutely. When you work out, you don't gain muscle from lifting feathers. You gain muscle when you lift weight. And what happens is it literally tears the muscle up. And when you rest, you build a muscle. So if you're accustomed to lifting 100 pounds, you can't keep lifting 100 pounds and see results. You have to add. So what my haters do is they give me that pressure that I need to tear me down, to rebuild me, so that my muscles, whether it's professionally or personally or whatever it is, spiritually, they build me in ways that, for real, my family doesn't put that same amount of pressure on me. I love them, they love me, but they don't challenge me in a way that my haters do. My haters make me think before you talk. You're about to say something. How could this be ammunition? Word this properly, because if you word it improperly, even though that wasn't your intent, they could take that thing and run with it. So for real, I love my haters because they give me a perspective that nobody else in this world gives me. And I know that they know I'm in London right now. So I'm kind of wondering what's going on in their mind right now.
I bet most people would think you didn't have haters.
Oh, man, so many, man. And
that's crazy.
I will say this to you. Because my content is so strong and because it's not narcissistic in a way, it really is about helping other people. I've noticed that when people get on and say negative things, that the community blasts them. So they're a little bit more apprehensive about getting on because the common guy, people that they know, it's like, yo, how dare you disrespect the person that's not charging us, that's putting out this motivation, that's, and so I find that I have haters, but they're in their own little community talking. They're not brave enough, generally to come out, and say how they feel, so, but trust me, somehow word gets back, what people are saying, but I love it. And for real, it really motivates me and challenges me, to think about what I do and what I say. And sometimes everybody needs, that positive pressure. And I see it as positive pressure.
Yeah, it's definitely, you definitely need it. Like the honesty, the factor is the honesty is there,
Oh,
innit? You know what I mean?
it's great.
There is the honesty. It's only insecurity that makes you not look into it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I guess you could thank Twitter and YouTube because we didn't have that kind of anonymous criticism.
Absolutely.
200 years ago,
Yeah.
I guess you didn't have it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to thank them sometimes. But I find if you get a few hateful comments, I'm like, whatever. But if you get the same people saying the same thing like 20, 30, 40 times, then you're like, maybe there's something going on
Yeah,
here.
No,
you know
for
what I
real.
mean?
I've got to look into it. Yep, I've got to look into it. Absolutely. And you said it. You've got to be courageous enough to be able to look at yourself and say everything about me is not solid. Or there are always room for improvement. Yeah.
What do you want to be in like 5, 10 years? Are you trying to be completely, I guess, ubiquitous, be like known all over the world? Or do you have like other goals in mind for you, for the ET brand, for everything?
Yeah, I think for the ET brand, man, this may sound crazy, but we're doing exactly what we want to do.
I get that feeling.
Yeah,
People get that feeling.
Yeah, for people, media is so important, like that you will be known everywhere. I'll be honest with you. I was in Vegas eating with my wife and a group came up to me and, I saw them looking at me and I'm like, put my head down kind of. And not that I mind, but when I'm with my wife sometimes, like my wife is very private. She's an only child. So she doesn't really, she doesn't get me a lot. So when she's with me, she kind of just wants to be alone. And, a group came up to me. I saw them, and they kept going back and forth like, are we going to go talk to this guy? And eventually they come up to me, Mr. Thomas, we apologize. We know what you're with your wife eating, but you said it, no opportunities wasted. And I'm like, absolutely,
Do people quote you back to
you?
you?
They quote me back. So I'm taking pics with these guys, man. So sometimes being known has its disadvantages. Because when I'm with my family and they want to get the private time, but I respect my supporters. They're like, yo, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. So there is that dichotomy, that makes it challenging. But I'm doing exactly what I want to do. The only thing I like about the media attention and, et cetera, is that the reach is expanded. And people need this type of inspiration. Being a positive, artist yourself, with spoken word, people need positive. Like when you look at what you do, and how many other people are out there doing what you do, it's the number is small. But when you think about how many people are maybe using the spoken word for something negative, the numbers are bigger. Yeah. So the only thing I would like to do is inspire more, not necessarily ET the hip hop preachers, but I want to inspire more people who are motivational and inspirational in nature to do what they've been called to do and not get caught up in status quo. So I think that's it for me. I would like to die knowing that, for real, the inspiration that Mother Teresa gave the world, that Martin Luther King gave the world, that Gandhi gave the world. I'm talking about the world. These people weren't limited to a certain, demographic or a certain race or gender or age. These people inspired people all over the world. And I would like to go down in history as one of the individuals in this era that was responsible for pushing people toward greatness and heightening people's sense of awareness. Like, Eric, I could be doing more. I'm not doing everything. I could be a better husband. I could mop the floor better. I could be a better server. I truly believe, and I could be wrong, that a part of the downfall of the economy is that people are going to work and not working with a spirit of excellence. And so you start making inferior products and you start doing things from an inferior nature and you reap that, and so for me, I just want to go down in history as this guy motivated as many people as he could possibly motivate, and he changed the course of their life and maybe even the course of history by using his gifts.
You had a talk on New Year's Eve, I think, where you said, we're not in a recession.
Yeah.
You said something like, we're just not at the time where people are giving you free money
Absolutely.
anymore. What did you mean by I agree?
Mean, there was a time, man, I'm from Detroit. So Ford, GM, and Chrysler, we know that Henry Ford, they say, at least in our part of the world, they say he was the first to design, the car. And when he first started, people were taking pride in the fact that, wow, we've created something. Think about it, guys. People were on horses or walking. So with a car, you can get from one part of wherever you live in the world to another part of the world. And you're talking about in the hours driving. And then the Wright brothers come out with a plane. So now I can get from Detroit to London in 7.5 hours because these guys had this dream. And then there were individuals after the Wright brothers who kept perfecting the dream, evolving the dream. Like, if you ever been, I was in Egypt, we flew first class. It was a bed. Like, the Wright brothers never thought that there would be a bed on a plane, and so there was a time because of these genius men and women, these dedicated men and women, that they created industry, and you didn't have to dream. You could live off another man's dream. So Ford put us in a position where you could just go to work and do what he dreamed of and make good money. But after years and years, decades and decades of making good money, people were like, hey, this money is going to be here. This industry is going to be here. So whether we go to work excited or not, listen to me, man. And I mean, this is deep for me because I'm from Detroit. But most people don't know that Detroit, Henry Ford created the middle class America. Yeah. You were either poor or rich. He created the middle class America, where a person without a great education could go get a job and make good money. And so after years and years of this, it became a part of the American culture to be middle class. It didn't exist before, and when it didn't exist, people were so excited about it. But as the years progressed, people started taking it for granted. I tell people all the time, Eric, why is your marriage so great? I don't take my wife. Thank you for cooking. Some people think, oh, you're supposed. I say thank you after 20-something years because I'm as grateful for the first meal you cooked as I am for this meal. Thank you for working. Thank you for taking care of my children. Thank you for believing in my dreams. And so I think what happens sometimes, people get content. That they're hungry when they don't have it, and when they get it, they forget what got them there. So people start going to work and stop forgetting. You took the job as a server. Why aren't you serving me? Like, you took the job, but now you don't want to do it. Why? Because you're trying to make money and you're not trying to be faithful or be committed to what you said you would do, which is why I have so much passion. So every t.g.i.m I do, I'm trying to be better than the last one. I don't care, what somebody thinks about them, that you're not making money. I put my signature on everything I do. It speaks volumes about who I am as a person. So unfortunately, Ford, GM, Chrysler, inferior products, Honda came on the scene. You know what I'm saying? Other car industries came on the scene. Why did they come on the scene? Because they made a better product that didn't break down after the warranty was over. That was better gas mileage. So people started to buy those vehicles. Yeah. I mean, like it or not, it's a fact. This is what happened. And so eventually, the car industry is not what it used to be. So I say, the days of people having these great dreams and people, just thousands of people working to make those dreams become reality, it doesn't exist anymore. But are people still in need? Yes. E.T. the hip hop preacher came on YouTube, used the free social media to inspire the world, and it turned into what it is right now. That I'm traveling across the country and people are making investments in me and my company to come. I work for corporate America now. I work for, NBA, NFL, etc. I'm doing voiceovers for sports. I created whatever it is that I currently have. I don't even know how to define my reality, but I created it. And I didn't create it by staying in the bed all day. I didn't create it by blaming people, and pointing fingers at what's not working. I said what's not working and what can I do to fix it? Not, this person is to blame, the government is to blame, this industry is to blame. No, Eric Thomas, what can you do to make the world better? And I took responsibility for it, and I'm seeing that I'm reaping the benefits for that. So that's what I mean by, no, there's not as many free jobs as there were before where you can come to work and not really work and still get a paycheck. That doesn't exist as much as it used to maybe, 30, 40 years ago.
Okay. What do you think of that?
I think it's an interesting point because there's an opposite argument whereby when you are traveling, like I said, I was a waiter, but I wasn't the greatest waiter, but it wasn't because I knew that I didn't want to be a waiter for long, do you understand? But I definitely agree that if someone makes a commitment, that's what I say to people. If like a lot of people say to me, oh, you're doing what you want to do, I don't want to be in school anymore. I said, okay, do you know what else you want to do? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say no. And I said, well, if you don't know what you're going to do, make sure you work very hard in school, because people want that in between, the middle ground. Right. Whereas if you're going to commit to being a waiter, if you're going to go 9 to 5, not working anything else, I believe you should commit to being the best waiter.
Absolutely.
If you're going to commit to being in school, make sure you commit to being the best student. If you're going to commit to being like a spoken word artist, I make sure you commit to be the best. That's what I feel. A lot of people want the middle ground, whereby they don't want to do the hard part, but they just want to relax in the middle without all the commitment. And absolutely. I think that kind of resonates with what you're saying in
absolutely.
That sense.
Yeah, and again, my thing is, whatever you do, because it speaks of who you are, don't do it if you're not going to do it great. Why waste my time? If people say, Mr. Thomas, I love what you're doing, I want to intern for you. You want to intern for me because what you can get from interning for me. But what about what am I going to get? If I hire you, what am I going to get? It's not fair. It's called mutualism. What am I going to get? That you're a leech sucking off of me. Like, what am I going to get if you work for me? Now, if you're going to work with me and you're going to have the same passion I have in what I do in terms of speaking, and you're going to do that with your artwork, or you're going to do that designing t-shirts for me, then definitely. But it's not fair for you to take a job because you're trying to get from that job to where you're trying to get, and you're gonna give that owner, you're gonna have work for that owner. You're not gonna show up when you're supposed to show up. You're gonna be a different person on Monday than you're gonna be on Friday. Like, it's not fair for me to invest in you, but you don't invest in me. So my thing is, if you don't plan on being a waiter and being a good waiter, then don't do it. Because when I pay $30, $40 for that meal, I want the best meal. I think it's only fair. You want a tip from me, but you don't want to work. Like, people expect tips, but they don't want to serve. And I think it's equal. You serve me, and I will tip you. Well, I tip anyway because I just believe in the law of attraction. You reap what you sow. But if you want a 20% tip, can I get a 20% service? Don't give me 8% service, but you want 20% tip. I just don't think it's fair.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of incentive here, innit? In the UK, there's no tipping system. Like, my girlfriend said she went to Vegas and she had to tip everyone, the bus driver, the waiter.
Absolutely.
But in here, because no one has an incentive and they know they're gonna get the same pay packet at the end of the year, you would never, like, it's rare that you get that enthusiasm, you know? It's only when you find people who have come from unfortunate situations in other countries and stuff, who will come to this country and they see the opportunity and they'll take that job and take it as, like, you know, their life. It's rare you kind of get that service.
You might not find that quick hustle American service here, but you might find it at some places. So
well,
you might.
And if you don't find it, it's good. You know, again, I always say it's about learning. So when you come to a culture that's not quick, fast, in a hurry, you respect that culture and you understand why they're doing it. Because I moved to the South for years because it was a slower pace, you know, than up north, you know. So when I come here, trust me, I'm constantly moving. I don't have a problem going to a restaurant and it takes an hour, because that's an hour that I get to spend, you know, with my wife. Now, I'm not at home, you know, and it's a different culture, but, you know, and that's why I say wherever you go, you can learn, because there's a reason why the culture does what it does. And so many times people try to fit their culture into a culture instead of going to that culture and valuing it and learning as much as they can, you know, and adopting what they find good here, you know, and taking it back and making it a part of their lives.
Travel is so important. You learn about yourself when you travel.
Absolutely.
That's what I found. I've been to a lot of places, Japan. I remember I was in Brazil, walking down the sidewalk in Rio on the beach, and I was like, God damn, these people are moving slow. I was like, get out of my way, get out of my way. And then I was like, what the hell am I doing?
Right. In Rio.
Look at me. Chill out. I'm the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Rio.
Learn from these people.
That's right.
They know how to relax.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
So yeah, you will learn a few things. Now, you moved down to the South, and then you're a minister as well.
Absolutely.
Do those things come at the same time, or were they very separate?
In terms of me moving to the South and becoming a minister?
Yeah.
You know, I think so. I went to a school that was religious in nature. And so for me, being in that environment, I didn't grow up in church. I didn't grow up with any faith or any religious belief. And I had a lot of respect for it. While I may not consider myself to be the most religious person, when I look at Gandhi, when I look at Mother Teresa, when I look at Martin Luther King Jr., one of the things that I noticed is that they had a belief system. While they all had different belief systems, there was this belief system that kind of guided their practice, you know, and was almost in a sense like accountability. You know, if you're Martin Luther King, you can only do X, Y, and Z. I'm sure in his faith, Gandhi in his faith, he fasted a lot. That was a part of what he believed. He believed in a simple life. You know, as a Hindu, he didn't believe in being extravagant. Mother Teresa believed that she should serve. You know, so I picked up that, man, this thing is, I like this. This is an accountability that I didn't have growing up, you know, and something to lean toward or believe in that took me to a whole nother level. And so I wouldn't consider myself like a traditionalist, if you will, but definitely a minister. I definitely tell young people, you know, I believe in doing unto others as you would have them to do unto you. You know, I believe in that kind of stuff. I believe in serving, you know, giving, which is why I do t.g.i.m for free. You know, so I believe my faith has helped to shape me to be a better person than I was prior to having faith.
Okay.
Yeah.
It kind of creates that natural kind of police which you wouldn't have on yourself, innit?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm away from my wife, away from my children, but there is this like he said, this, I like the term, the spiritual police, if you will. You know, I was with a guy on our way here, and he was like, you know, we were going to pile up in the car. He was like, we can't do that here. I was like, we can't pile up in the car. He's like, yeah, we pile up in the car, I want to get points. You only get 12 points, and if you get 12 points, you lose your license. And I mean, he's like serious. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe when I go home, I need to respect authority a little bit more. You know, but back at home, I mean, even if you get pulled over, you know, they may say something to you, or you might get a ticket, but you're not going to get any points, you know, because it was packed in, you know, people were packed in. But it was that sense of there's this higher authority that I would love to pile up the car, like y'all do back at home. But here, you know, you can get in a lot of trouble for that. Whereas I don't think if there was a point system, we probably would have been in the car if it wouldn't have been a point. If it was only our safety, you probably would have piled up. And so again, it is this sense that there's this higher authority, not necessarily like policing you in a bad way, but sharing with you that, hey, here are some things that you need to do that could better your life. And so I embraced that. I made that a part of my life. And everywhere I go, I share with young people. Not that you have to believe what Eric Thomas believes, because what works for me may not work for you, but it's definitely working for me. My mother will tell you who I was as a teenager and who I am as an adult. This person of faith has literally made me accountable to the world and made me fall in love with people who I generally, the way I came up, you know, in Detroit. And for those of you who haven't been to the States, you know, it can be a very racist place at times. You know, there are people who, as you mentioned, who are very mature now in the States and have progressed tremendously over the last, you know, 40, 50 years. But there are still some people who are in darkness, you know. And so the way I would have handled a person in darkness at 18 is not the way I would do it now. I really feel sorry for people. You know, I pity people who cannot expand their worldview, who've not traveled, who've not been outside of their community and don't know that there's a bigger world than the little world that they live in. Granted, there's some great things about their world, but it's a bigger world. You know, so yeah, my faith has really helped shape who I am and change me as a person.
You mentioned Adele, like she made that beautiful album,
Yeah.
but it came from so much pain.
So much pain.
And I mean, like, so do you think all great art, including, you know, E.T., comes from a pain at some point?
I don't think it comes from pain, but I think pain can potentially spark something in you and allow you to focus in a way that you can't. And the reason why I say that is because how many people have been through pain, but everybody's not Adele. Everybody hasn't used their pain. So I think pain is a motivator. You know, pain is an inspirator. It has a way of bringing the best out of you. But there are other people who come from wealth and they have something in them that says to them they want to continue this legacy, that they want to keep this legacy going. And they haven't been through what Adele or myself have been through, but they were able to turn that switch on, not necessarily with pain or poverty, but they were able to use their privilege, that affluent background they had, to say, I want this forever. So whatever I have to do, I'm going to click this great button on this. You know, I want it as bad as I want to breathe. This hunger that I don't want to live like that, or I don't want there to be a gap between what my father and mother set up for me and what I'm going to set up for my children. So I think pain can be, but again, some people use pain, become addicts. Some people use it to bring bodily harm upon themselves. Some people use it as an excuse, you know, to withdraw from the world. So I don't think pain itself is a motivator, but in the hands of the right person, pain can be something that pushes us toward greatness.
Yeah.
It can be super powerful.
Yes, it can be super powerful.
I agree, because as an artist myself, obviously, what I find is the key to the art is you tap into an emotion, innit? And what I find is a lot of people were able to use pain, because pain is the only emotion you don't get to filter, if you know what I mean. Like, you can be happy, you can choose to be happy, how happy you want to be, but when pain comes, sometimes it comes from an external source, and you can't control that. So that's you being in touch with a very, very raw emotion. And like you said, only a few people can channel that. Yeah. But I think that's one of the few emotions which you can't filter. And when you are connected with it, it brings out so much within you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better.
You want to avoid it, but you really need to be with that pain sometimes and just feel what it's like. And that way you remember later.
Yeah,
Use it.
And I mean, again, I know, you know, just looking at you, you believe in taking care of yourself. And let's be honest, you know, I don't know that I like water as much as I like, you know, other beverages. But I know at the end of the day, what drinking pop is going to do, you know, for my health, for my body. I mean, I'm getting older. I understand that I need water. You know, my kids, what's that juice you're drinking? It's got kale and spinach and all kind of stuff in it. And it may not taste the best, But I do know in the long run what it's going to do. Every push-up that I do, I'm not doing push-ups like, oh, I love it. You know what I'm saying? This is the greatest feeling I've ever had. But I understand that it's necessary. And I think it's the same thing. We shouldn't run from pain. We should embrace it, because if we look at it as something negative, we will not use it, or we won't take advantage of it. We will try to dismiss it, or like ignore it. But we really need to embrace it. And every chance we get to be in pain, I remember being, a young man and not wanting to cry.
Yeah,
and now when I speak, if it comes, I let it go. I don't hold it anymore. But there was a time where I remember talking to my biological father for the first time. I was 25, and we were in the room alone. We were in a church building, and I'll never forget. I was so angry and I was so hurt. And he'd asked me a question, and I wanted to just be myself and cry and say, you weren't there for me. You abandoned me. You hurt me. But I wasn't mature enough at that point to want to be vulnerable in front of this man. And so I, like a crocodile, like I held those tears. They came out my eyes, my eyelid. There was water, in the water ducts, but I wouldn't let them drop. I refused to let him see me vulnerable. I refused to let him know I cared about him, and that I wanted a relationship with him, and that I wanted to tell him I loved him. But I couldn't. I wasn't mature enough to do it. And so now I'm mature enough. When the feelings come, I don't care where I am. I let them go, because if I bottle them up, I'm gonna hurt. But if I let it out, I'll be free. And so with pain, when I see pain coming, I don't try to push it to the side, or I don't try to rush through the process. I feel it, because once it's over, I can use that energy. A guy, and I can't tell the story, but there was a guy yesterday who came to the VIP, dinner, and he was with the London Eye with me, and I've never seen a grown man this emotional. But he had gone through a lot of stuff in his life, even some legal challenges. And he said at his most vulnerable moment, he listened to the mixtape, I Use My Pain to Push Me to Greatness. And he said he came out a new man after listening to that, because he put his pain in perspective, and he used it to elevate his life, and not let it devastate his life. And I'm thinking, wow, when I first had the opportunity to do that, t.g.i.m, I remember like, Eric, do you want to be vulnerable? Do you want to really talk about? And I said, go for it. And I went for it. And some guy heard it, who's a DJ, and put music to it and said, look, I don't mean to be disrespectful to your experience, but I want to put some music behind it, and I want you to hear it. And when I heard it, I thought, man, this is the most powerful thing I've ever done in my life. And it wasn't done intentionally. It was done through the most horrific professional experience that I had ever had, and I shared it with the world. So yeah, I think pain is powerful, and that it can be and should be at all costs used to elevate us to another level of our lives.
Along that same line, do you think we have a saying on this show where we say, go to where the fear is?
Yeah.
And I was just, it's different than pain, but is that something you think about, or you tell your people about?
I mean, it's the edge. Don't we all want an edge? Aren't we all looking for some type of advantage? I mean, as I listen to you, and I haven't, had the privilege today, but I'll listen to more of your stuff. But even as I sit here in the room with you, and the way you frame things, what I'm saying, that's what makes you unique. Like the way you frame words, nobody's thinking of it like that. So you had to go to a place where most people aren't going, to say things that you knew would capture their attention. But there's this sense of anxiety because you're not saying the average. You are stepping out beyond mediocrity, and you're saying things that, gets their attention, but at the same time, it's stuff that they weren't willing to say. So yeah, the edge is in the fear. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're not going to fear. Most people are running from it. But if you go to fear, you automatically become what the average person can't become, because they're afraid to go there.
And that's how you grow fast, is by going to the fear.
Quick. Death or life. When you go to fear, you either become alive or you die. There's no middle ground.
It's true.
With fear.
Definitely. I used to title it, I used to say it's the black hole, in it. And I used to say that physically in my head, and I say, do I want to go there? Because I can come up with a brilliant idea, and I think this is amazing, people love it. But I say, but if I take it there, it's going to be even better. But if I take it there, it might never come back, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you always if you go there, that's a danger zone, because people might not respond to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that is where the beauty of the art is always created, in it, when you go into that place where no one is willing to go.
And do what no one is willing to do. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, I saw you giving a talk to the UFC fighter Anthony Pettis. Yeah, I'm a big fan of him. He fights at is going to go fight at 145 pounds. And you give talks to like major league sports teams. And I'm just wondering you're walking into these elite of the elite athletes. You know, you're a big Michael Jordan fan.
Yeah,
And I was thinking to myself, what would Eric Thomas have said to Michael Jordan, you know, back in the day? And you're walking into these guys on the top of their games. And what do you think when you walk in there as far as how do you approach, you know, that versus say a big, you know, mermaid show where you got more different kinds of people, and what was your most memorable one?
You're definitely focused like that, and I'm gonna say Pettis, and I'm only gonna say Pettis because there was this rumor out that, you know, he had a real slight chance to win. You know, there were people who were thinking, you know, like, because he had lost a major fight, you know, maybe two or three fights, you know, before.
Yeah, Clay Guida or something.
So people were like, you know, this kid is good, but he's not ready. He's not mature. He's a choker, if you will.
And his opponent, Cowboy Cerrone, is no joke.
Yeah, no joke whatsoever. You know, so in my mind, I'm thinking, what's Pettis thinking? You know, beyond the glit and the glimmer. You know what I'm saying? Beyond all of the, you know, the hurrah, he's at United Center. You speak of MJ, when we walk in, that's MJ's house. So we're in MJ's house. And I've got to stay focused, like, don't focus on that right now. You know, because that's big for me, that I went from this kid who was homeless and a high school dropout to I'm in this form now, this arena. And this kid wants me to walk out. So I'm thinking in my mind, what is he thinking? What is he thinking? Not the good stuff, but what is his fear? What is his black hole? And what do I say to this kid to get him to look beyond all of that and to stay focused? Because if he could be who he is, he can win this thing. I mean, physicality, he has it. He's got some phenomenal moves. Like, he's doing some stuff that nobody else is doing.
Crazy
right,
stuff.
Right. And if I could get him to be him and not get caught up in this fight, who he's fighting, what's at stake. If I could get him to be who, and that's the only reason I went in the ring, because I believed in this kid. I don't go into somebody, like, my name is on the line here. You know, if he loses, or people are like, whoa, E.T., maybe he's not that deep of a motivator. So it's important to me. Yeah. You know, I'm putting my name on the line, I'm putting my character on the line, I'm putting my future, my career on the line. So I'm going in there and I'm thinking, like, what's on this kid's mind? You know, so I had a chance to meet up with him and practice, work out with him and get in his world, you know, and talk to him before the big fight. I'm talking to everybody that knows him, and I'm like, what makes this kid click? What's his why? And if I can make him focus on his why and not focus on anything else, he's going to go in here and murder this dude. You know, so it's crazy because once this dude on his team fights the fight before and gets murdered. Okay. I mean, eye cut, blood all over the place. They got to stop the fight.
Was he on the mat that day when you spoke to him? Was he in the same room?
He was in the room, but I only spoke to Pettis really that day.
Okay, yeah.
You know, that was my, you know, but he was still a part of the team. So I'm like, oh, I hope Pettis isn't watching this. I'm hoping, you know, Ant's not like, what in the world is going on? You know, and so I'm just in the room with Ant. We's playing the music, and I'm in his head. I'm looking at him, and I believe that when you get to the level that, you know, these guys are on, you have to be able to say what you're saying and use words only when necessary. I mean, this is a different level. So I'm not going in here just blabbing and just talking to be talking. These guys need to stay focused. So I want to use as least words as possible, you know. And so I'm thinking, got to keep this kid focused. I got to remind him of who he is and why he's here. And we walk into the rink. I'm talking about, you can feel the energy. And I'm walking in, people are like, E.T.'s with Pat, E.T., what up? And I'm like, Pettis, this is Pettis.
You walked out with him?
Yeah, I walked out. I walk out with him, you know, and
heavy.
You know, he goes in the ring. I go back. I can't watch it. So I go back in with his little brother.
You didn't watch it?
Yeah, now, and we watch it from TV. I can't be in there. I can't be in there. And I'm talking about, you remember the fight. He goes in there, and in 2 minutes, he murders the dude. In 2 minutes, he murders him. And I'm like, yeah. You know, so, yeah, when you go in there, man, I've got some stuff I'm doing with the NFL this year. And what do you say to everybody who's great? Everybody's on the same level. Yeah. You know, everybody. And so you got to get inside the person. You got to see what they're going through. And then you got to use where they are to help them to get to that next level. And so it's a challenge for me. I've got to grow so much. But then the mermaid, you're talking about 600 people from all different walks of
It's
life.
huge. I've been in there. It's a big theater.
You know, it's just it's so different. And so now you have to come in and become all things to all people. And again, you got to narrow though. What does this population need to hear? And so that's why this is so important. These interviews and, you know, meeting you and feeling, you know, London and hearing what's going on in London, getting the pulse of London. So when I go in, literally, you're going to think at the Mermaid, you're going to think I'm from London. Because I'm going to spend so much time with the people and listening. This isn't the time to talk. In preparation is the time to listen as many voices, to hear as many hearts, to hear as many cries and many dreams and visions as possible. And then boom, it's going to allow me to get in that room and become this culture. I'm going to have to give up the American thing for a couple hours.
Because if you saw his fight with, I mean, his talk with Pettis, it was a different Eric Thomas. You know, it was intimate. You were really talking about the specifics of his training. You're like, look, you all train hard. You all know you train hard. What's the difference in this fight? It's going to be who wants it more.
Absolutely.
And it was powerful stuff. I didn't realize you walked out with him. I saw that picture with you afterwards.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we walked in together. Yeah.
That is heavy stuff. You know, just a couple more questions, and we're going to let you roll because you got places to be.
Hey, well, I only have to be here right now.
I like that. I like that. You know, one of the things you said is that sometimes you're not given things. Sometimes you have to go out there and take it. And you said like physically take it. And you're a positive guy with a positive message. Yeah. But there's something that's, you know, quite rough about that kind of thing.
Absolutely. You know, I look at my career and no recruiters, no motivational speakers, no, you know, life coaches came to the west side of Detroit and said, hey guys, we're going to give you an opportunity. You know, my father wasn't in my life, so maybe he was supposed to be that guy who came and said, Eric, you can be special. You got a gift. You're talented. You're a leader. You're going to be somebody. I'm going to put you in the car. I'm going to take you to college. I'm going to take you to go get your license. Like, I'm going to take you to see the world. I didn't have my father. My biological father was not in my life. So maybe I am speaking out of turn. Maybe there are things that are given to you. But in my world, that person who was supposed to do that, he wasn't there. And so I knew, you know, for people who watch 8 Mile, you know, and they see the movie 8 Mile, you know, it is a street called 8 Mile. I grew up on 8 Mile, but 8 Mile is not about a street. It's about the divide between the rich and the poor. It's about, if you grew up on this side of 8 Mile, you were part of the working class or poor. You grew up on the other side of 8 Mile, 9 Mile, 10 Mile, 11 Mile, 12 Mile. That's where the rich people lived. You know, and so as a kid, we looked on the other side of what life looked like. And nobody over there was coming to mentor us over on this side. Nobody was inviting us to come to their fancy dinners and their parties and, you know, the country clubs. We didn't get to do golf. You know, we weren't exposed to that world. And so I knew if you want that, you're going to have to get up and you're going to have to go over there and you're going to have to say, I deserve it and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I don't want any handouts. I never forget we were on welfare when my wife and I first got married, and she graduated from school. She got a registered nurse degree, and she took our check and she took it back to the welfare department. And I said, what are you doing? We haven't made it yet. She said, we don't need this anymore. And I was like, wow, you know, and my wife was saying to me, we're going to get this new world. We don't need this anymore. It got us through college. It did what it was supposed to do. It's a new life now. And so for me, there are people who will never get, they will never have, they'll never come to London. They'll never see. My children was like, Dad, the Big Ben looks different in the real world. That's the Parliament right there, Dad. Look at these cars. We saw these. Somebody said when we were in the car, London looks just like it does on TV. There's some kid who will never get that, not because he doesn't deserve to be here, but he's waiting on somebody to give it to him. And if you're waiting, depending on where you come from, you may be waiting for the rest of your life. So there are some things that, yes, you can have it, you can be it, you can do it. But I got on t.g.i.m. Nobody gave me this platform. We bought a camera. You know what I'm saying? We used the equipment at the school. We signed up. We put our stuff up online. Nobody gave us this chance. Nobody said, take it. Now, we're grateful for the dreamer who came up with Twitter. Yeah. We're grateful for the dreamer who came up with Facebook. We love those guys. You know, matter of fact, one of them he made the 100 most influential people in Time magazine, you know? So we're grateful for him. But I don't think he did Twitter or Facebook specifically with Eric Thomas in mind. Here's an opportunity. If you want it, sign up and make it happen. And that's what we did. So that's what I mean. Sometimes you have to be aggressive. You know, sometimes you have to create your own luck. I always tell people, luck is for leprechauns and I'm not green. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure, hey, some leprechaun has got a lot of luck, but I'm not green. So if I'm sitting here waiting for luck to happen, it's not going to happen. But I can create my own luck. And that's exactly what we did. And am I suggesting that you can, you know, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, that a man, you know, can live on an island? No man is an island. But I'm saying when I invested in myself, other people begin to invest in me.
And that term "succeed as much as you want to breathe," when did you come up with that, and did you know it was going to resonate so much with people?
I say this all the time, and I mean this, you know, with all humility. I did not even do the video for the video to come out. I didn't record it.
Yeah, it doesn't look professional.
Yeah, it doesn't look professional.
Yeah.
I
Someone
didn't
else is
record
doing
it.
it.
Some guy needed B-roll for his thesis. He was finishing school. He did a documentary on me and was like, Eric, the documentary is too clean. You know, it just looks staged. Like, I just need, so where can I get B-roll? I said, well, I speak every Tuesday at this platform. You can come. And as a matter of fact, this week I'll be there. I'm going to be talking. He's like, good, B-roll. Put a mic on me. I'd never seen a mic in my life. I never spoke with a mic.
That's crazy.
I put the mic on. I spoke.
When was this? 5 years ago?
This was 5-6 years ago. And guess what? He never used the B-roll. He never used it. So he gave it to us. He didn't even give it to us. He had it, you know, wherever they save on computer or whatever, he had it on some file. A good friend of mine said, you know what, Eric, 2 years ago, you did this phenomenal message. I think every freshman that enrolls in Michigan State, they need to hear it. Every freshman in this program, they need to hear it. So let's put it up on something called YouTube. I said, what? YouTube. I said, okay, put it up. I don't have a problem. We put some music behind it, which is now illegal. You know? At that time, put some music behind it. We put it up. I promise you, it was there for about 2.5, 3 years, 102 hits here and there. I quit my job at Michigan State University to go out, that fear, to do this thing full time. And I promise you, 2 weeks after I quit my job and began this free work, it went viral.
Oh wow! You know. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you in it, but it's like I got fired from my job as well, innit? So I got fired in December from my job, and it's like for the reasons because I did something on YouTube. But obviously, that same time is when I released the video that why I hate school but love education. Right. The same week I got fired. That's the same week that video just went viral. Wow. You know what I mean? And I just always say to people, it's because in my mind and on my wall, I had written that this is going to happen. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So that was just the universe taking me away from one opportunity to put me into the one. But when he just said that, it's kind of like, I got goosebumps because it's crazy because it was exactly the same scenario, you know what I mean? The same week I was sitting there and they're telling me I'm losing my job and the video is like, I walk out and like the video's on 150,000 views. Then next week later it's on 1.5 million views, you know what I mean?
It's crazy.
So when he just said that, I had to interrupt him just because of the similarity of the situation.
Absolutely. And the rest is history, right? Yeah. But again, I took advantage of an opportunity. As I begin to see it like you grow, I begin to put out a series of videos because I saw this as an opportunity. Apparently they like something about the message. I don't know what I did, you know. And then Giovanni did the video, and that's the young man, the football player. He put it up just for the NFL to see it. Somebody stole it off of Vimeo, and they put it up, and his went viral. So I had a year or two of mine's going viral, and then his went viral. And then after that, there was the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant,
Mayweather.
Everybody
did their take on it.
Yeah. You go on and on and on, and everybody's doing it. And before you know it, I can't go anywhere in the States and people not, you know, recognize that's the guy right there. And from there, I did voiceovers for NBA.
Yeah, I seen the NBA one.
This year, I've already done it, but it won't come out until next year. I'm doing voiceovers for the Detroit Pistons where I live. And the audio book is coming out. I heard it the other day. Phenomenal stuff.
Okay. Are you doing all the voice?
I do all the voice.
Man, I love that. I hate it when authors don't do the whole voice.
I did the whole voice. The only part about it, and this is why it's taking so long, because the engineer that's doing it is great. Okay. And he's like, Eric, your voice, he was like, I'm loving. He's like, he said, it's like a full orchestra. You know, you're leading out, and I'm just behind you adding to it. And I heard chapters 1 and 2 the other day, and it blew my mind. Like, wow. I mean, I was emotionally, it's like I had never heard the story before, but the sound effects in what he does. If this guy, if this collaboration doesn't get a Grammy, something's wrong with the committee. Something's wrong. I'm just putting it out there. Something's wrong with the committee if it doesn't get a Grammy.
Wow. What do you say to that 20-year-old that's listening to us right now? Actually, I want to get both of you guys'
Yeah,
opinions.
because he's at 20-something. So
Yeah, well, how old are you? 24?
24, yeah.
24.
Yeah.
All right,
So he could really answer this.
yeah, maybe you could answer it. Well, both of you guys,
All right.
what do you say to the 20-year-old that's listening to us and is like, all right, what should I do? I mean, like, if there's one thing you can tell them, that just one thing, because I think it's hard for us humans to make all these changes at once. I'm going to go on a diet and stop smoking and go back to school. But if there's one thing they could do differently, if they want to change their life and get to their goals, I want to know what you would say and what you would say.
You're 24, so start us off.
Like I answered this question before, innit?
Yeah,
I just
asked you the same thing.
I just think the most important thing is like he said, is believing in yourself. You know what I mean? Once you believe in yourself and what you do, everything else comes into focus. Like if you go to work on Monday, you're going to work because you need £500 at the end of the month to buy a new pair of equipment. That's going to help you take you where you want to be. If you get on the bus, I'm traveling to a destination which has helped me where I'm going to be. If you have a sleepless night, that sleepless night is investing in where I want to be. And that's what I found. Once I found that, obviously there was people around me who helped me to be who I wanted to be. But once I found that, as soon as I believed in myself, everything became into perspective. Now everything you do has a motive. It has an intention. Even if you're in school, you have an intention. I want to get my degree so I can do this, but then I know what I want to do. You know what I mean? And I think that is more important than anything. Don't wait for someone else to believe in you. A lot of artists, especially when you're like a musician or whatever, you make the best album ever and you wait for someone to come and sign you. You start sending it to like companies. But in this era, especially when stuff like YouTube is available and Twitter and stuff like that, all you need is self-belief and determination. And that's all I can give anyone. Whenever someone asks me, I say, if you want to do something, just believe that you can do it and aspire towards it.
And the younger generation.
Absolutely.
Look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I want him to go first, because I think that's important. What I would say now, looking back, because I was in my 20s and I was the guy, I started when I was 20 years old. People think I'm an overnight success, but really the internet has given, me exposure. But I've been doing this work forever. I would say to young people, just in hindsight, looking back now, be informed. For real, take the first step, number one. Like, don't overanalyze. And I think that's what some people do. They overanalyze, as kids in the States, my cousins, the females, they did, double dutch. And double dutch is when that rope, you got two ropes and they're going around, you just got to jump in. Like you can't, you just got to jump in. That the rope, it will never be a convenient time to jump in the rope. Because it's up and down, up and down, up and down. It's never stable. It's up and down. One's up, one's down, one's up, one down. And you just got to find that right moment where you get in. I'd say just take the first step. I mean, the worst thing you can do when you take the first step is realize that wasn't the right step to take. But the worst thing to do is to be like a squirrel and you just in the middle of the road going back and forth and back and forth. And so I would say, but as you're taking those steps, get counsel. As you're taking those steps, learn, get a journal, write down, be strategic. Like, don't just blindly go into something. Do your homework, do your research. We put up videos every Monday. Why? Because it's the beginning of the week. We're very intentional and deliberate. Yep, still very passionate guy. I'm still motivational, inspirational, but we make sure that we put it up not on Friday. Who's watching videos Friday at 5 o'clock? Nobody. When we ask people to support us, buy our book or a t-shirt, we don't do it over every day. Why? We don't want people to think that's what we're about. We're not trying to saturate the market with our product. But at the same time, we really have a book that we think can change people's lives. So when do we say it? On Fridays. We say it every other Friday, payday. So we're very strategic. Like, we're not trying to oversaturate you. We're not saying you have to buy a book. So you don't see us pushing it 30 days out of the month. You might hear us 3 or 4 days. But we know that this book is changing people's lives because people are telling us it's changing lives. So we want to be balanced. So I would just say be intentional and deliberate about every step. Is what you said. You don't go to school not to get a degree. You're not wasting time. And then I would say this, whatever you do, man, if you expect people to support you, it better be good. It better be good. If you're doing the spoken word, it better be good. If you're speaking, it better be good. If you're playing football, you better be the best. You better control that ball. You better You kick with the left, control with the right. Like, you better be able to be ambidextrous, go both ways. You better be able to use your head. Why? Because that's what the greats are doing. So whatever you do, don't think you're going to put forth half effort and get maximum reward. Maximum effort, maximum reward. And the thing that bothers me about this generation, they want more than any generation has ever wanted, but they don't love work the way the generations of old love work. You have to put the work in. Don't fool yourself. You are not going to be successful by luck. You're going to put in as many hours as the other dude did to be successful. There's no shortcuts. There are no easy paths to get to success. All roads lead through hard work. So if you don't like to work hard, then you might want to cut back on some of your little dreams and some of your goals. But if you dream big, you better work even harder.
Amen.
Therefore.
I'm with you on that. I don't know what else to say, man. That's crazy. How do people get your book? How do they get in touch with you? How do they stay up, know when you're talking, all that good stuff?
Yeah, well, if they want to stay with me, they got to be positive. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for me and you want to attract me in your life, you got to be great at what you do. But our website, well, let me just say this, because there are a lot of people who are not, technologically savvy. So if you go to Google and just put in Eric Thomas, everything is going to come up for you. But for those of you who know what you're doing a little bit, you've got etinspires.com. That's our website. You've got the app, ET the Hip Hop Preacher. Listen to me. It's a free app. So there's no risk involved. So if you've got an iPhone or, you're dealing with whatever, I don't know what the other thing is. Android. Okay, yeah. Android. You have an Android, you can go to the marketplace and ET the Hip Hop Preacher, it's free material. You can listen to the stuff every day. Twitter, I'm constantly upgrading, informing people through my Twitter. And again, my schedule is not really out there like that because I do so many private engagements, but through the website, there's the schedule, and you can look the schedule up and you can buy all of our material. Listen to me. The second book is coming out in about 3 or 4 months. Greatness is upon you. I'm telling you, it's going. I've grown so that it's going to a whole nother level. But if you haven't gotten the secrets to success yet, it's real easy. If you don't want to spend a lot of money and you got an iPad or you have a tablet or whatever, not even $7, you can get the book. But the hard copy you can get through us, and you can get it autographed through ET Inspires. But definitely stay in touch. You can sit in the background with us. You don't have to pay. Like, you can get a whole lot of inspiration for free. You don't have to pay money. But there are people who are like, Eric, I want to get the stuff you do privately. You can go to iTunes and put in my name. And there are a lot of private messages that I have up, for 99 cents, et cetera. So go to iTunes as well, or CD Baby. And we have some unreleased stuff that's there.
Fantastic. And Suli, what's the best way for them to see your stuff?
Likewise, innit? If you just go on Google, just type in Suli Breaks, or the YouTube channel is predominantly where I keep most of the work in it. So if you just go on YouTube, Suli Breezy, SULIBREEZY, because I did it a long time ago, yeah. But if you just go,
change that
you
name,
can't change it now.
Yeah.
You can't change it. But if you just go onto the YouTube, and if you just everything just kind of filters there.
Give me the spelling one more time.
Suli Breaks or the YouTube.
Okay, give me the spelling.
Oh, SULIBEAKS. That's Suli Breaks, and the YouTube is SULIBREEZY.
Z guys.
You like that?
Z.
Oh no. It's Z in London. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying. So my people who are listening, follow me. They'll know.
Oh, the YouTube, YouTube.com/Suli.
Yeah, Z is
yeah. Because my people back at home were like, oh, what was that last thing he said?
Oh, Z. SULIBEEZY. Yeah.
Because I want you guys to follow. So make sure you
appreciate it.
If you're following me, look him up, guys. Please.
Yeah, no, this is epic. I prepared for this interview and I got to watch a bunch of your videos and I got inspired just preparing. It's crazy. Usually I got to watch some scientists talk about some crazy shit.
Right. Get yourself ready.
And my girlfriend's like, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm excited. And so I have to thank you for that. I appreciate
Thanks for having me on.
I thought of Suli was one of the first people I thought of to join us today, and I just think, man, this is like an epic moment, and I'm really curious, what happens in 5 years.
Absolutely.
Maybe we'll all meet back here in 2018.
And we do a featured artist on our t.g.i.m.
Okay.
So I'm definitely looking to...
I'd appreciate that.
I'm definitely looking to get what he feels is his best piece and we definitely want to expose our people,
I'd appreciate
in
that,
states to
definitely.
his information.
Excellent. I called Sully up on Tuesday and I was like, "You heard of Eric Thomas?" He was like, "But you made my day."
Likewise, now I'm getting informed,
No, that's cool.
and I have a lot of youth that follow me, so I'm gonna sneak and give him some content. Like, hey, can you say this for me and make it sweet? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's excellent. I can't wait to see like the 29-year-old Sully, the 47 or 8-year-old you. The same with me. Maybe we'll meet back here in 5 years, see what happens.
Hopefully, man. God willing.
I think this is an epic meeting. So thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having
It's
me.
a real pleasure. If you're listening to us on iTunes and you want to see Eric Thomas himself, we're on YouTube at channel London Real TV. We're on Twitter at the same handle. We're on Facebook, and our website is londonreal.tv. Come join us. All our content's free, and we just like featuring like super cool people with good messages every week, man.
Super cool. All right.
Yeah, so it's a lot of
Love
fun.
it.
Mel, best of luck. Not that you need it this weekend at the
I'll
Mermaid.
need a whole bunch of it.
Yeah, and that's cool,
Yeah,
man.
I need
And-
a whole bunch of it.
Yeah, it's good to have you in London, man. I think the world needs more of you.
Amen. Well, hey, thanks to you, they just got more of me.
Fantastic. All right, peace to you both. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, man.
Welcome to London.
Head looks like it's got some electrodes and a cord.
If you do like a screenshot, now I'm wearing orange glasses with a blue headband. I totally need a superhero name. I'm sorry. Like, I'm wearing spandex too. Okay.
You look like a cool hippie, baby. What is that?
So what this is, let me turn this around. Can you see that? This is called the Upgraded Focus Brain Trainer. And yeah, I have it on Upgraded Self. I'm not trying to sell this.